I am Safeen James. I'm a filmmaker and photographer. I love all things creative, especially when it manifests in video format. Do you want me to look at the camera or look at you?
You can look wherever you want.
Okay, cool. I'll look at you because the camera's making
Really?
noise.
This is your thing. Why are you scared? It's exciting to have you as like the first, not only director but female director. So we're gonna.
Oh, that's such an honour.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
So, how are you?
I'm good.
How you been?
I'm good.
Yeah,
Living life.
to the end of the year, how are you feeling?
I feel satisfied, content. I think at the start of the year I was very hesitant, very anxious, didn't know what was coming next.
Yeah.
So I feel very relieved that I'm on the other side of it now.
Yeah.
And looking back, I'm quite content with how my journey has gone because I was still in a 9-to-5 at the start of the year.
Okay.
And I just made that leap into freelance mode.
So, how would others describe Safeen in 3 words?
In 3 words, I think ambitious would be one.
Yeah.
I think bubbly would be another.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I think I'd like to think people would describe me as a visionary.
Yeah. Why? Why that?
Because I feel like, especially being, a black woman, sometimes we don't always recognise our opportunities because, we're not given them all the time. But I feel like I'm the kind of person to look beyond that and not really accept what my setbacks have been or might be.
What setbacks do you think you face, I suppose?
I feel like it's more on a general scale where, again, coming from a marginalised community, you're not always given the opportunities that you feel like you deserve. You're not always recognised, or you're not the first person to come to mind as somebody who should take on a certain responsibility or a certain role. So I think, I don't like to see it as a setback, but I think that's maybe one of the cons of being in the creative industry as a black person and more so as a black woman. But I feel like because of the people I've been able to connect with on my journey, I've been able to overcome that setback or that challenge.
It's funny because you're really going to teach me a lot about the world of film and big visual projects because that is not my bag. I can comfortably say that is not, I like going to cinema, I like short films, but in terms of the actual complexity of it, you don't know anything about it. So when did your passion for film begin? Because you do photography also, but I guess both, so when did your passion for photography and film?
So at uni, whilst I was studying creative direction, you get to try a lot of mediums like photography, video, print, graphic design, etc. And I realised that I don't necessarily build a connection with the product that's being communicated, but rather how it's being communicated and bringing that to life through its movement or emotion. And I just felt like the best way that I could get the emotion or movement of that product across was through movement itself, So that's when I started taking interest in it. And then my mum studied filmmaking,
I love that.
but she studied it in her adult life, so I found that quite admirable. And I think that's where the interest got a little bit more intense.
So I feel like one of your many projects, but the most recent one, Away from the Fields. Where did that, I guess, concept come from? Creative process behind it?
Well, I've always had this fascination of our parents and our grandparents coming to the UK and existing in a space where everything to do with their identity and their appearance and to do with their blackness was literally ridiculed or suppressed or looked down upon, and not once did that stop them from creating such a hub for people like us. And I just think, how were they able to do that and then maintain that and then pass that on to us? And now we've got such a buzzing African, Caribbean community. It's insane to me. So I feel like I wanted to tap into my granddad's mind and ask him about that.
How long did the project take, I suppose?
To kind of from post-production to the very end. I think we started from the ideation, it was around April.
Okay.
And it came out in October.
So what advice would you give to upcoming female directors, photographers, creatives?
One thing I'd say is you belong wherever you want to be. Don't let anybody like tell you like, oh, you should be here, you should be here.
Yeah.
Wherever you see yourself is exactly where you need to be. So that's what I'll say on that. And then another piece of advice is like carry on creating. Sometimes, you know, you create stuff and you think, oh, this is whack.
Yeah.
But the amount of times I've gone back to work I created before because I want to see where I made a mistake, or I want to see what about it felt so raw. Because when you're coming up, that's when you make like the rawest and the most authentic work.
Yeah.
So like just keep making. It will get better because you know your budget will increase. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just the budget. It's nothing to do with like your ability.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep creating.
What do we expect from Safeen this year?
This year?
No,
Next year.
We need some.
Okay, so next year, 100% another film, another short film, and maybe I can start to introduce like parts of myself that isn't necessarily solely based in, you know, film, but other. I won't say what, but I'll say other areas of the creative industry. Yeah, other areas of the creative industry. I'll definitely try and like, you know, pop up there and try and take up space. The aim is to take up as much space as possible because the more black creatives and black women creatives there are, the better it will be for like the next generation of black women.
So who do you think should feature on our next back page?
I'm gonna have to say Kemi Anna,
Yeah,
you know. I'm gonna have to
I
say
know.
she's incredibly talented. She's so inspiring, and I feel like I've learnt so much from her, and I want as many other people to learn from her as well.
That's brilliant.